Holy smokes.
Wait, do you want me to include stupid technology in there?
That's good.
That's why I never did power.
Well, I
Snow
tried to be
day.
there.
I got a snow day.
You guys,
You know, court, stupid house.
He made a hole.
Yeah. Still do a lot of things.
That's the level of excitement we have.
I know. It's it was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah.
What's November? I know you and your wife are close.
I am December 29th.
God.
2 days before the new year. It was a personal exemption for my dad on his tax return
And he was
for the entire year. I was destined to be an accountant.
Yes, you were. But how was it growing up as a kid? My birthday was in January. I hated it as a little kid because I never got anything because my parents didn't have any money after Christmas.
It wasn't
Late now.
I didn't get great shape as a kid. Now I don't know anything.
Absolutely.
Oh,
We're going
It's a holiday.
so there's a lot.
Yeah, we still don't want to get you.
Boy, me.
All right.
It's probably been over backwards. Take care of you.
They do.
I'd like to see.
All right. Welcome to our. Are you guys ready, by the way? There's Terry. Okay.
There she is. Phew, man, you just barely made it.
Okay.
Still away to society now.
Perfect.
So happy belated. Should have gone to one of the meetings and told them these. So what's it telling me here?
On.
Didn't bother, right?
Welcome to our city council meeting for tonight, February 6th, 2019. We will begin with an invocation by Pastor Jerry from the Westview Christian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Cousins.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration. It's good to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. Shall we pray? Father, we come tonight. We are gathered here together with these great individuals, not only that support our city, but also that reside in our city. We thank you for our first responders. We thank you for them and for the way in which they respond to not only criminal needs, but also social needs within the fabric of our society. And Father, we know that you guide them, and we ask that you would protect them while they are doing the things that need to be done to help people get their lives back in order. And Father, we are also extremely thankful for the moisture that you have sent. We thank you for the storms of the recent past. We thank you too that some of it is still continuing on the mountain. And Father, we ask for a significant water year so that we can expand our storage capacity underground and above ground. And Father, we just thank you for all of the ways that you have blessed us in this city and this community. And Father, I ask too that for this council and for this administration and all those who serve in our city government, that you would provide them with the wisdom and the understanding so that they might acquit themselves well and that they might expand the righteousness of our city and our community. And Father, we ask that evil would be restrained. We ask that it would not profit. We ask that it would not proceed any further. And we ask this now because we care about our fellow citizens. We also join in asking for your protection upon our citizens here during this time of slick roads and other things. And we ask that you would also protect our service people that are in stations abroad, on land, in the air, and at sea. And so we thank you now for everything that you're doing for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will now move on to our agenda order approval. Item number 3 is not actually an ordinance. That's just a normal vicinity plan approval.
A
Okay.
motion to approve the agenda is published.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move to council business.
Mayor, I have a couple of things I'd like to bring up. First and always, I want to commend our Public Works Department for the tremendous job they do keeping our streets clean and safe. That's our snowplow people, our garbage people, the water meter people, everyone who makes it happen. You know, I have a good and a bad situation. I live on a very, very busy street. And so it's fortunate I get to hear those snowplows coming very early in the mornings. I think it was about 5 o'clock this morning. I heard them out there doing their work and whatnot. But I want to thank them for all the work they do and trying to keep our streets safe for all of us to travel on. And it was a big storm, just like the Weather Channel said, 1 to 3 inches possible. Then I'd also like to extend a belated happy birthday to Councilwoman Terry Hartley. Her birthday was yesterday, and she turned 29 yesterday, so it was a milestone for her. And one of the joys, if you are willing to stick around all through council meeting, we're going to have some cake afterwards. And so your punishment is you have to stay for the whole meeting, but the treat is you'll get some of Terry's birthday cake. So happy birthday, Councilwoman Hartley.
Well, thank you very much.
Kit, were you able to do any of those pick? We could do it another time if you weren't
Oh, I
prepared.
think I've got them.
You're good.
1 second. Tell me what it was again. Got about
Just the Quichapa project recharge. If you're not, we could do it next time if we're not ready.
Well, I can give you a photo there.
So while he's looking that up, I reported on this some time ago. The county, so Cedar City traded some property over by the visitor center and some at the Bullock Pit for some property that the county has been harvesting some gravel and pit run out by Quichapa Canyon. If you know where the Vandenberg Road comes from Hamilton Fort west, it makes a turn and then goes out to 56, which turns into Bumblebee Road. And there's 7.5 acres. The county has harvested they've crushed about 50,000 yards of gravel that they're using on that road construction out there. And they've also removed I think it's about 80,000 tons of pit run that they've used on the road base. So they've built all those roads up out there about 3 feet. The snow was filling them in, and they've built them up so they're better in the wintertime. It's left an awesome hole in the ground. I was out there Sunday taking a few pictures, and I thought I'd share them with you. Kit had Bowen Collins some time ago. I'm not sure when that study was done, but there was a study done that said about 3,800 acre feet of water on the average comes out of Quichapa Creek, and it just goes right down and goes into Quichapa and evaporates. And so our deficit in our valley is about 7,000 acre feet. So that's at least half or more of our deficit. And so Kit feels like with this pit the county has created, and they're going to continue to make it larger, that it'll handle all of that, pretty much all of that water, which we can recharge. And that's really a neat win. It's been a win-win for both for the city, because we have wells out there. That's the most severely impacted area we have in our aquifer. It's going down quickly, and that's where we receive most of our water for the city, is in that area. And so we're going to be recharging water right near some of our wells. There's one right below it, and then some others down further. But this is a really exciting project. Trying to figure out some ways that we can. The county still wants to crush some gravel and do some more things out there, but we're trying to figure out some ways that they can maybe stockpile some gravel, some road base and things, so that we can start recharging sooner than later. Because they probably still have a couple, 3 years of removing a pit run out of that pit. And so we might stockpile it. We may look at, some other options, but did you find those, Kid? I sent them via email.
Yeah, I didn't get them all.
That's fine. Well, I'll show them to you later, but it's, if you ever can drive out there, it's kind of neat. It's probably a 20 or 30 foot hole in the ground, and it's I don't know the acreage exact. It's 7.5 acres of land, so the whole is probably 5 acres. So, but it's really large, and it's an exciting project. So anyway, that's what I have.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for sending those pictures along.
Wonderful. Are there any other council comments? No? Okay, then we will move on to staff comments with Ryan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Ryan Marshall, Public Works Director. Nick, you want to come on up? I just wanted to take a few minutes and introduce you to our new airport manager. We made an offer to Nick Holt. He started with us on Monday. We stuck him in a snowplow, and he's been out there ever since. So
What a first day.
we appreciate him being here. Just to tell you a little bit about Nick. Nick has worked for the last 8 years in St. George at the St. George Airport in operations. So we're fortunate to be able to have him come up here and join us and have a little bit of knowledge already on the airport and the area. And so I think it'll be a really smooth transition for Nick. And he also has his bachelor's degree from UVU in aviation management. He's got his ACE and his CM certificates. He's has his commercial pilot license, so he's very familiar with the needs of the pilots out there, the tenants, and everyone. So we're glad to have him on board, and we'll miss Jeremy, but we think Nick will be a great transition for us, and we'll do a good job for us. So I just wanted to introduce him. I don't know if you have some questions for him, or if you want to.
I just hope he likes going to Denver. It seems like he made a lot of trips to Denver.
Yeah, there are a few of those. Welcome.
I grew up just west of here out in Lincoln County, Nevada. And I've actually lived in Cedar City prior to now. I've lived here for about.
You better go to the microphone. So
I was going to say, this is going to be. And you still have to say your name so we have it on the record.
My name's Nick Holt, and I'm very excited to be here tonight and to have this opportunity to come back to Cedar City and to serve. The question was if I was from here, and Cedar City is like home to me. I grew up just west of here out into rural Nevada, Caliente, Nevada in Lincoln County.
Hey, that's a good place.
Yeah, I enjoyed growing up there. Cedar City was a place we'd come to for basketball tournaments and to do our shopping, and so I love Cedar City. We actually lived here about 15 years ago. We lived here for about 5 years. My wife, there in the back, she's SU alumni. She's got a degree in school counseling and is currently a school counselor. And then I've got 4 children. So we're slowly making the transition to.
Will you introduce your children just so we can know who they all are?
Reagan is my oldest. She's 13. I've got Hunter. He's 10. And then I've got Harper, and she's 5. And then Maverick is 2. And so we're excited about this opportunity to come back. Like Ryan said, I've been in St. George for the last 8 years, and I feel like I've got some knowledge that can help our airport. And I say our airport because it really is the community's airport. I'm excited about the opportunity. There's a beautiful terminal there. If any of you haven't made it out, please come out and visit. And then I've been working with Danny. I know I've only been here for a couple of years, but we're already putting some advertisement together to be able to promote our airport. So thank you. Any other questions?
Welcome.
Right.
Well,
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Nick.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other staff comments at this time? He's an agenda item. Okay. What? Okay, we will now move to our agenda with our public comments, and we'll start with the Historic Preservation Committee presentation with Lise.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Elise Carden. I'm going to put my glasses on. And I am the chairperson for the Cedar City Historical Preservation Commission. I am here this evening to talk about Cedar City's National Historic District, which is located from Shakespeare Lane to 200 South and from 100 West to 300 West. The Cedar City Historic District is an important historic resource to our community. It represents the settlement and the development of our beautiful town. The historic buildings within this district represent a wide range of architectural styles, starting from the 1880s and continuing to the mid-1960s. Our historic district was designated and placed on the National Register in 2004. It contains 174 homes, many of which are historically relevant and play an important part in our community's character and is integral in telling Cedar City's unique story. Thanks to a donation from the Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau, we will be placing our first historical district sign on February 12th at 4 p.m. on the corner of 200 West and Shakespeare Lane. This will be the first of many placements to be unveiled in this district. Our desire with this sign is to facilitate learning and appreciation for our National Historic District. We at the Historical Preservation Commission would like to extend a personal invitation to Mayor Miley Wilson, City Council members Paul Cousins, Terry Hartley, Ron Adams, R. Scott Phillips, and Craig Isom, as well as all community members that would like to attend this unveiling. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a copy of
This,
Yeah,
I can give it to you.
that would be great.
Elise, thank you for that. I know it's been a
Thank
long
you.
time coming, and Mayor, I think this is an exciting new
I
step.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Elise, what?
At least what hour of the day on the 12th?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
And we do have invitations coming, so
Okay.
we'll be sent out.
Okay,
Thank
We'd
you.
love to see all of you there.
okay.
Thank you so much.
February
Okay.
12th,
Chief?
it's Tuesday.
Good evening, council, mayor and staff, Chief Adams Police Department. I'd like to invite Tim Bonzo up here. With the retirement of Sergeant Womack, it required us to backfill that position, and we held a selection assessment a couple of weeks ago. We had several qualified candidates that did very well, but none of them shone as brightly, smile, as Tim Bonzo. I'm proud of Tim. He and I go way back. We ran on the ambulance together here over 20 years ago. And I can attest that his emergency driving skills from then to now have greatly improved. But we are excited for him. I'm proud of him. The administration is proud of him for the hard work that he has undertaken to prepare himself to lead and guide the remarkable men and women of our patrol division and our department. And so we have promoted him, as you can see, and we'll swear him in tonight. So I'll let him take a few minutes to introduce his family.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. I have my wife Chandel here with me. I have my mom and dad, Max and Susan Bonzo. Then I have my son Ty and my daughter Aspen and my daughter Navy. They are 13, 18, and 15. So as you can see, looking at the girls, they keep my hands full. So it's good to be a cop. But thank you.
Can we raise the screen? New fancy seal is in the back.
Okay. Yeah. Where's my? You're catching on there, Kelsey. Thank you.
I try.
Find my maybe.
You guys are welcome to come up here and take pictures too. So.
You should relax. It takes a couple minutes for the screen to go up.
Yeah,
So
it's going to take a bit.
maybe sing a song.
Sorry, everyone.
Maybe the screen will go up.
No, it's really fancy and automated. It's so cool.
That doesn't help.
There you go. You're good.
5 minutes of everyone's time, that's all.
It's okay. It's all good.
You have to turn that off before the screen.
You have to turn that off. It has to cool and then the screen can go up.
Oh, it's one of those fancy systems.
Yikes. Fully integrated.
Yeah, it's okay. C-type.
We brought that down.
That would be spectacular.
I should have brought it last time.
Yeah, the thing's got to cool off.
It has
and
to
then goes
complete,
up.
that has to cool down before it can go up.
That's why I said it takes a minute. That's what Tyler said. Yeah.
I say we just get it just right.
We're committed now.
We're waiting until that screen goes off.
No, we're not.
You really wanted to be the center of attention and stand here all this time.
Let's have some cake.
How those are connected. Still, that's awesome.
Gosh, I haven't seen Max Bonzo forever.
It's doing what it does.
Yeah, this is,
Don't.
Oh, no.
just stand there.
I know. You can't live without it. Maybe it froze up because of the
Yeah, what
touch.
happened to those old ones where you pull real fast like in the school?
Or we could just go ahead. It's up
Yeah,
to you if you
just
want
go ahead.
pictures. And yeah, I would say we just go ahead.
That's where it is.
That means you have to stand and have your picture taken.
Yeah, now you guys need to
Now
go
when
down
you're
there and
putting the
get your
badge
picture of
on-
Dad. He's going to stand right there.
No, but now when you pin the badge on, you have it all
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Yep, right there. Sorry.
It's like paparazzi.
Really don't.
Hey, it's working perfectly. That's how it was designed.
Thanks. Sticking. Of course, he's
Yeah,
got that
that's
big old vest on. He's fine.
Workers' comp.
Now I need-
Over here.
Oh, good. Now you go shake all the council. Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations.
This is cool. We cut out 2 handshakes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. And thank you to your family for the support that they show you in this and all you do for our community. Okay. We will now have other public comments. If there is anyone else that would like to address the council about an item not on the agenda, now is your opportunity. Say your name or I will stop you.
Tom Jett, good evening. Just a quick reminder how wonderful our staff is for this 3 to 5 inches that we got. It was pretty impressive. And I'd like to let council know that I participated in city business last Wednesday with the removal of 47 snipe signs in Cedar City. And it's like they keep on growing.
Yeah, they multiply.
They keep on reappearing, but no, just thanks to the staff for keeping our streets so clean and for our community. Thank you.
I never thought I'd see the day that Tom Jett would move faster than me. That one hurt. So Derek Morton, and we've got Peggy Green. We just wanted to take a moment. We just completed our 3rd annual dodgeball tournament for the Care and Share. And we wanted to give you guys each a gift to thank you for the increased support this year. We know it may not seem a lot to you guys, but it meant a lot to us. We also admit that we know you're starting budgeting too, so we want to stay on your good side. So for each one of you guys, we have the official dodgeball tournament shirt. Right there on the back, it says "Smash Hunger in the Face." We didn't go the politically correct one because we figured to play it safe. And then with that, we gave something you'll probably never see, our inaugural program, which is autographed by the 2 participants of the first championship match for Southern Utah Championship Wrestling. Their WWE style wrestling league that's trying to get started here. And we convinced them to let them do their first match here. It got a pretty good response. They were sore and they were a lot better than I anticipated, just as cheesy as you'd expect. But we appreciate it. It was by far our best. And we've got some big plans that I think should be able to, in addition to this, be able to bring in a lot more dodgeball events with some of the contacts we've made. So thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you for your
Can you
work
tell us
that
how you did on the event?
So we made just under $10,000.
Awesome. Great.
And then we had 26 total teams, which gives about 200 participants, about 25 of which were from out of town. One of which has played in the elite national dodgeball leagues. So one of the conversations that's already been having is Cedar City to hopefully next year host one of the legs of the Western Regionals of the National Dodgeball, which will bring 32 insane teams. This is like the roller derby crowd, to come and play dodgeball in Cedar City, where this year they're in Phoenix, LA, and Las Vegas. So I'll be going down to Vegas in July to meet with the director to pick his brain on exactly what all he needs, but he's interested, we're interested, but it'll be awesome. If we're able to bring those, they're average team of 10, and they bring their families. So it should be a decent, crazy crowd. So the bars we'll put them on guard. So thank you guys so much for your support.
Thanks, Derek.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Carter Wilkie. Just real quick, on Saturday, I was out running errands during the morning time, early afternoon, and some of you may know this. There was 2 car accidents right at the intersection of Main Street and Fur. I'm sure Captain Adams can, talk about this if he chooses or give his opinion. They both happened within just a couple hours of each other, and so both were pretty severe accidents. One was essentially a head-on collision. I mean, you can see in the video that both, obviously there was neglect by the drivers, but of course there usually is in an accident. And I'm not here to always say that we need more lights, we need all this kind of stuff, but there was quite a bit of talk on Facebook, people just wondering. And I was just curious if there's ever been a study there done, or again, I mean, I'm not trying to say go down that road, we need to put a light in there, but has there ever been a study done at that intersection to see what the traffic load coming off of Fur is and what it would take and all that?
No, it wouldn't take much to do a study on it. I don't recall us doing a study previously, so
gotcha.
Take a look at it.
There was lots. I mean, and again, social media, everybody has their opinions, but there were people that say that they don't even drive down Main because of, they avoid that intersection at all costs and all these types of things. And so, again, just a little bit of information, something that I saw. I personally witnessed the 2 accidents, and so it was kind of crazy that back to back there was 2 right there at the exact same intersection. So that's all. Thanks.
That is a UDOT road.
I guess
that's all. They'd be the ones to do the study on that.
Is that something that we could look into? I know with Retro Fitness and several businesses up there, that street is very busy. Is that something we could look at?
We could make a request to UDOT to see if they want to take a look at it.
And see what they say. Thank you.
The thing of it is, it's, less than 2 blocks away from 800 South, and they may not want to put another signal light in there. We'll have to look at it.
Right.
And a lot of the traffic is probably going to come out of those neighborhoods when they get those apartments open.
Right.
There'll be that through road to the light that I think will probably handle a lot of it.
Hope so.
Are there any other public comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our business agenda with our public portion with the audit presentation.
Gosh, right at the top of the meeting. How exciting.
I don't have pretty shirts or anything like that. Nice gifts.
Pretty reading material. You have what matters.
Thank you.
This is your kind of reading. That'll be some good reading.
This is the spice of life.
Is it a picture book?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Beaming with joy.
Yes. This takes me back.
You know, we do have a PDF copy if you'd like to carry it with you on your phone at all times. First, I wanted to express my gratitude to the staff. Jason Norris, Ryan Carlson, Cody. I don't know Cody's last name. Yes. But they and Wendy Bonzo were all extremely helpful and accommodating. It's not easy to be asked to do your daily tasks while someone comes in asking for additional documentation to see how you did your job, whether it was done correctly or not. And so it can be just one more thing to juggle between everything. And so the staff were extremely quick in responding to anything that I needed to get the financial audit done. So my thanks to them. I am pleased to report that we did have a clean audit opinion. You'll find that to be on page 1. That is the bulk of what we look for in an audit, is to say that this is clean, that the financial statements are materially correct. And that is what we were able to obtain, or rather you were able to obtain. Okay, a couple other things that we will go over. We have to look at your internal controls. You're going to find that on page 77. We want to make sure that there are appropriate checks and balances, segregation of duties, and there are enough of those in place to ensure that if fraud were to occur, it would be caught in a reasonable time period. So that is what we want to have happen. We also come in and look at your compliance with federal laws. Because you expended more than $750,000 of federal funds, you go underneath what is called a single audit. No money comes without strings, right? So same thing goes with the federal government. And the program that we selected this year was the airport. So we look at how the airport funds were spent and whether that reports were filled out in a timely manner, that you've kept in compliance with all the federal laws that were applicable to those funds. And the staff did achieve that. They maintained that. And one thing that is nice is that this is now the second year in a row in which there have been no findings with a single audit. And so therefore Cedar City is now considered to be a low risk auditee when it comes to federal funds. And so that makes your guys' life easier. We then also look at your compliance with state laws. Each year, the state auditor comes up with a list of things that they want us to look at. Most of it is going to be the same. We're always going to make sure that we stay within our budget, that you're not expending more than what has been approved, that there are open and public meetings, etc. But then they also throw in other things to make sure that your fund balance or your equity is kept at appropriate levels. And I'm happy to again report that you were in compliance with all the state laws that were mandated that I test. And so we have, ladies and gentlemen, a clean audit report.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Congratulations, Jason.
You better stick around for cake.
I won't say the joke that went through my mind, because every time I tell jokes to my tax clients, they just look at me and say, "Don't quit your day job." But thank you. So a couple of, if do we have any questions?
I'm happy to
Well,
report.
not yet. I mean, we just.
You
all
just
nine
got it.
pages.
I was expecting a report by the time you're done. I am happy to, again, also, if you look at the financial statements and the notes, you're going to find places that talk about how the long-term debt went down. And so we're seeing debt go down. We're seeing if you look at your utility funds over on pages 24, you're going to see that your operating revenues, you're going to see your water fund, your sewer fund, you're going to see all of your utility funds where you charge money and then provide those services. All of the operating expenditures were covered by your operating revenues, which is what we would like to see happen. Or else then you're having to say that it's being subsidized by another source. And so I thought, in my overall opinion, is that the financial health of Cedar City was strong. And so good job on managing the city. As a resident, I greatly appreciate your due diligence.
Thank you.
Anything from you, Jason?
No, we just appreciate Reese and Hughes. They're great to work with, and yeah, it's always a long process, but glad to be through it.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
I have nothing else if you guys don't have any questions.
Right.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
All right. Then we'll move to item number 2, consider a vicinity plan for Amy Avenue PUD.
Last night. A day late.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Bob Platt here. Okay, do we have a picture? Okay, a year ago, we came through with a vicinity map on this project for 24 and 18 apartments and 6 units, and a total of 24 unit apartments. But this is a complete change to 6 townhomes only. And so this went to Planning Commission after review by city staff. That one of the neighbors asked about a traffic study, and it's my understanding that Kit completed that study and it was very benign.
Yep, that was in our package.
So we're here to get vicinity map approval for these 6 townhome units.
I only have one question. Maybe it's for you, Kit, or perhaps Chief Phillips. I'm not sure. I know there was a discussion at the Planning Commission meeting about 45 North, and it's being paved or not being paved. And so my question is, from a public safety standpoint, is the existing, is Amy Avenue okay for getting fire trucks and things in and out of and turning around or wherever might need to be done, since 45 North is not an improved street?
Well, Amy Avenue is it's a 50-foot wide street, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, and the other street that goes in up to the apartments, I believe it's at least 60 foot wide on that. So they've got those width of streets have plenty of capacity to handle Amy Avenue apartments plus the existing traffic that's up there.
And I guess, so my other question would be that 45 North is not an improved street. So, but there is a sign there on College Way designating the street. Do we as a city, what kind of liability do we have, Tyler? Should someone use that street and have a problem? Because I know it was a concern of the discussion in Planning Commission about people coming in and out of there. Do we have any liability in that regard? Any more than we would for any other street?
Yeah, no more than any other. That, I assume that street will eventually
yeah, it's just
right,
be paved and improvements will be put in as property develops around it. But yeah, no, not more than any other street.
Yeah.
That street's planned to go up and have a cul-de-sac at this end. In future development, it can't continue to the west because it has to go up a very
that grade
steep hill, and it goes way beyond our standard grades.
Right.
So that street would dead end into a cul-de-sac up in here, and then there'd still be the option to go down Amy Avenue.
So Bob, where are the townhomes here?
Right there.
Right there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're required to do a little bit of improvement right here as part of this project. That's all.
Right.
Not this.
Correct.
Kit, just out of curiosity, so the steepness of that, would it be comparable? I mean, where Cove Drive and Meadow turning right on Meadow Street, is that steeper than typical? Or is that within, just out of curiosity?
It's probably, beyond our standard for street slopes, but I still think that it's around 16%, where this would be a 25% grade.
Oh, okay. That gives me some bearing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those were the only questions I had on it.
All right. Darren, other comments, questions, concerns?
I had some questions about, there was some verbiage about whether the block wall was to be provided in the front of the PUD, where I was kind of confused at what it was meaning. If there's not a block wall on the front of this one because of the setbacks, or?
Well, it's not so much because of the setbacks, it's because they've got garages that front Amy Avenue, and all those garages are accessed directly off Amy Avenue.
Oh, okay.
So you just have basically one solid slab of concrete from the south unit clear to the north unit. And so it didn't make sense to put.
So there won't be any wall across
There
the
won't be
front?
any wall
Okay.
across. We're in the process of doing an ordinance amendment on the subdivisions and PUDs to address those type of situations.
Okay, thanks.
We just saw it in planning commission, so.
Any other comments, questions? You good with this going on consent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Item number 3, consider a vicinity plan, the Willow Creek subdivision.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dallas Buckner with Go Civil. So this is a vicinity plan for a traditional subdivision. It's a residential estates. So we're looking at lots that are anywhere from 0.4 acres to almost an acre at the intersection of 2400 and Lund. Took it to Planning Commission, favorable recommendation. That's about it.
So. Well, this is very low density.
Yes.
Half acre lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, one issue that's come up with this subdivision that we're working through is the grades on the subdivision. It's out sitting on a very flat piece of ground. Which makes it difficult to design proper drainage and sewer systems and things like that. And we're in discussions with city staff as well as the engineer on different possibilities of addressing that. It may end up having to be a PUD to where the city's not responsible for those systems inside that PUD. That would be the owner's responsibility. But we're looking into that situation.
I noticed also that there's plans on a master plan for a walking path and bike lanes through there too. So
There is.
but that would the subdivision would just complement that. There would be no problems there whatsoever, right?
Other comments, questions, concerns? Good with that on consent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Consider granting the final plat approval to the Fields PUD Phase 3.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tim Watson with Watson Engineering. We are requesting the approval of the final plat for the Fields Townhomes Phase 3. It is a PUD, and we are finishing off the section of the development that fronts 1325 North. To give you a quick reference of where we are located, we are just west of Northfield Road. Dr. Delcour's office is on the corner, and then we have the Beehive Assisted Living just to the east of it, and then our development. that we're requesting the approval for tonight. So we will sit right here. A little bit, yep, to the little further. So we had phase one here. Phase two was last summer and early fall here, and then further to the south is phase three.
That's an old map. Google Earth is old.
Yes, it is.
So the city's received all the required fees have been paid, agreements have been signed, so there's nothing we're waiting for.
Are there any other comments, questions?
I have no questions with this. I
From
think this is
council?
fine moving ahead.
Okay, we're good with that on the consent?
Mm-hmm.
All right, consider granting final plat approval for Old Sorrel Ranch subdivision phase one.
Oh, that's you also, huh?
Yes, we have two.
Mr. Roberts here.
tonight.
I thought maybe he was going to come up and share his knowledge with us
If
tonight.
Dan would like to, he's more than welcome. Okay. Again, Tim Watson with Watson Engineering.
You're getting so good at this.
I know, you've trained me well, Mayor. We have a first phase of the Old Sorrel Ranch subdivision. Again, reference, just for your knowledge, we have Westview Drive. The SUU Observatory is further to the south, and this is where the College Farm homes sit. So we will be developing around the College Farm homes for this first phase.
Okay.
Well, makes sense. Old Sorrel.
South and west of the farm then.
South and east.
Oh,
East,
it's
we have
east.
Hidden
It's on the other
Hills
side of the street.
that sit about in this area there. So, yep,
Okay.
phase one is in this area.
So the city's received a letter of credit, bond agreement's been signed, and all fees have been paid.
All right.
These are larger lots too, aren't they, Tim?
These, they vary in size.
I see.
These are, we have some that are over 12,000 square feet and others that are just barely over 10. It's the zoning on this section of land is R2, so they went well over the minimum requirements for these lots.
Okay. Yeah.
Comments, questions? Good with that going on? Consent?
Consent, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll move to the staff portion with item number 6. Consider purchase of golf course pump station, part of phase 3, the irrigation plan.
Jared.
Steve Carter, I'm the golf course superintendent out at Cedar Ridge Golf Course. Jared wasn't able to make it tonight, so I'm kind of standing in for him. Thank you to the council and to the administration for letting us come tonight. We're just considering a pump station for our phase 3 portion of our irrigation plan that we've been working on over the past 3 years. Our phase 1 and 2 are complete. They included updates to our pump stations that we have now, and also greens, new irrigation around our greens on the front side with heads, pipe, and wire, and clocks throughout the whole golf course. Irrigation clocks throughout the golf course, and then a central control irrigation system that allows us to flow manage our water a lot better. So this phase 3 is including ponds, pump station, and power in the area that's located behind 7 Green, which is
Could you point that out? Yeah, I'd like to see
that right there.
Okay.
So right back here behind 7 Green and alongside number 2 and down there by number 3, we have some ponds. It's a collaborative effort between the engineering, our public works department, and the golf course. We're going to put some ponds in there for some water storage and a new pump station that when phase 4 is complete with the new irrigation on the whole front side, the driving range in number 10 right there. that will improve our watering situation at the golf course significantly, in the sense that right now we use about just over 1 million gallons of water a night. And with this new irrigation system on those holes and on the front side, it will drop down to about 765,700 gallons, according to what our irrigation designer has relayed to us. And so this phase right here is, we're going to start with wanting to get this pump station. And so that's what we're presenting to you. We had it budgeted at $189,000, and it came in at $172,534. So it came in under budget as well. And it's a Watertronics pump station, as you can see in your packet.
So that was in this year's budget plan?
We had monies, man, about knocked that off. Could have blinded somebody. We had monies from RAP tax that we got, but it was approved for use for this.
And this will be the final phase then of this irrigation?
No, this is
Phase 3. Phase
this
4.
is part of phase
Four.
3. Then there's
Like phase 3, part 1.
And how many phases are there?
4.
4. 3.2, 3.3, 3.4.
The rest of phase 3 is getting the ponds dug, and if we have to line them, we got to line them and filled with water. And then phase 4 is all the irrigation lines and all the fairways on the front 9.
Correct. It's a whole, right now, all our irrigation on this front side was put in 1962. So it's 56 years old. I had a piece in my truck I was going to bring in here, but it was all rusty and I didn't want to dirty up things in here. But we put in 2-inch pipe around our greens 2 years ago, and everything on our front side right now is metal with 1-inch pipe. So we're trying to run, you can only run, just a little background on that, you can run 16 gallons a minute through a 1-inch pipe without losing velocity or PSI loss. But and we're trying to run about 30 gallons a minute through a 1-inch line. So we're just overworking the system to the point that we have multiple breaks during the year. This year alone, we fixed 58 leaks. In the 15 years I've been here, that's a lot. I mean, I spend about 70% to 80% of my time just on irrigation. As you guys probably already know, we've expressed this numerous times. So
It's not a very effective drip system.
no,
With all the leaks.
because when it drips out there, it creates a bubble that's about
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant.
walk across it. It's like a water bed.
It needs to be replaced. The inside diameter of their 1-inch pipes isn't 1 inch anymore. They're all corroded and
Yeah. But
How many golf carts have you lost in those sinkholes?
I had a guy call me a couple years ago and said that he thought he was going to lose his in the 1 and 7 fairway, but it wasn't as bad as what he had said. He can have been enjoying a few refreshments while he was out there. But I did figure, though, this is an important thing. I've tried to really stay up on water usage, and over the past 10 years, we have used, I don't know if I have my number with me, but in the past 10 years, I've kept track how much we use every year. And right now we're on average of using about 116 million gallons a year water. So with this savings, we are going to save anywhere from 30,000 or 30 million gallons to about 22 million gallons a year. That equals out to be about 96 acre feet down to 69 acre feet of water a year. And if you span that out over 15, 25 years, that's a huge percentage of water savings that we can look to in the future. And we try to do everything that we can to maximize our water, because we know that it's a commodity here. It's a really high commodity here in the valley. So anyways, do you guys have any other questions?
Well, just for what it's worth, I have my golfing buddies tell me that the greens are in very good shape, and they think they're fantastic. So kudos to all of you who work so hard to make the greens work so well with irrigation and the trimming. So
thank you.
Congratulations. Now we'll try and get the rest of it in the same manner.
That's right.
Does the golf course use the affluent water or does it use city water?
We use a well that was drilled just south of where the cemetery is. And I think originally it was drilled for culinary use, but the solids and the things in it made it so that you couldn't drink it. So that's the water that we use right now. Yeah, so it's just down south of the cemetery.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you, Steve, for all your hard
Thank
work
you.
on this.
You're welcome.
Okay, you good with that going on consent?
Yeah.
Okay, item number 7, consider an interlocal fire agreement with the town of Cedar Highlands.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Mike Phillips with the Fire Department. About a year ago, Cedar Highlands approached us about providing fire protection for them. It's taken a little bit of time for them to get some revenue. And so they've approached us to enter into the interlocal fire agreement with us. And I'll let Tyler talk about the agreement, what's inside of it.
Yes, the agreement is pretty much a carbon copy of what we entered with the county, Enoch, and Canaryville. We entered that about a year and a half ago as well. The agreement's a 1-year agreement that'll automatically go to a year-to-year with a max of 5 years. The agreement essentially says that based on their taxable value, they'll pay a portion of the fire department's actual budget. So the fire department, Chief Phillips, will sit down with them every spring, I believe, and go through the actual budget of the year before. We'll then calculate in their proportion of that, which numbers we get from the Iron County assessor, and then they'll give us that share. On top of that share, they'll pay $1,500 towards our preservation fund, where we can use that to upkeep and purchase new equipment in the future if we need to. Because of where Cedar Highlands is situated, the agreement is structured in a manner that the city's not bound to go up there and fight any fires. We don't have the proper equipment to get up that road quickly. Our response times will vary on weather and conditions. Essentially, the promise is if we can get there, we will get there as soon as we can and help out and deal with whatever fire prevention that we need to.
See, Tyler did a much more eloquent job than I would have. So I sat down with Jason and we went through last year's budget. And so we protect about $5.2 billion worth of properties. Theirs is about 30 million, so it's 0.577 of our overall coverage area. So that's where the $9,500 came from.
Thank you.
So Mike, I have a couple questions. So obviously in the summertime, you go up the canyon, correct? But
Or the face.
You go up the face every time?
Face is a lot faster.
Right.
In a small truck, not in a big truck.
Have you driven up that road lately?
I did. We had a gas leak up there a month and a half, well, 4 months ago, I guess now. It's been a while.
I just worry. I worry in the wintertime of our $800,000 fire truck falling off the edge, and if it's icy or something, that's what concerns me.
The last time we had a fire up there in the wintertime, we took a little brush truck, threw some SCBAs and gear on it and kind of clamped it up the hill and went and put the fire out with the little truck.
So with a home fire, would you do the same? Or
it was a home fire.
It
When we
was,
went up,
okay.
there was a chimney fire that was burning inside the house. That's what we fought it with.
So do they have fire hydrants throughout the subdivision?
So they're part of the Water Conservancy District. So they actually have a really good water supply up there. We've been up there and checked all their hydrants out.
Yeah, we have a good system. They have plenty of fire hydrants to.
Yep, they're just like Cedar City's hydrants with spacing.
So
and
you wouldn't
everything,
take a
good
big
water.
truck. You'd just take a smaller truck.
In the wintertime, we'd take a small truck. In the summertime, depending on what the fire was, we'd take a big truck, but it'd go up the paved road and the little truck would go up the face.
By bringing this other city into our agreement, does this in any way affect any of our insurance or anything?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Comments, questions? Good with that going on the consent? She may phone the action just so Phillips can sweat it out for a week.
Cedar Highlands, it's sweating.
Well, I just,
Consent is fine.
So I have one more question maybe, and it's a budgetary one, I guess, is after you sit down and you meet with them annually and you determine what it is, when that money comes, does it come back into the general fund? Does it go into, do you budget that into your budget then? How does that work?
You can ask Jason that
No.
question.
No,
No,
No.
No.
The
The answer is no. Whatever it is,
Not quoting
whatever I
me.
asked, the answer was no.
They always start with no, and then we go from there.
No.
Yeah, so all our interlocal agreements with county and Canaryville, Enoch, they all pay a portion of the budget, which we've kind of rearranged recently. But yeah, that's rebudgeted directly back through the fire department.
Okay.
As well as now we have a small capital preservation fund that we'll track separately as well. So.
Okay.
I
Thank
guess
you.
to fully answer your question, Cedar City pays everything up front, and then they're reimbursing us for expenses. So it just goes back into the
That's
general
what I was
fund
trying to figure out.
to cover those costs.
Thank
Sell
you.
all your big trucks and just use little trucks.
No.
No. See, you tell me no all the time too.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 8, review bids for Main Street Waterline Replacement Project.
Jonathan Stout, the City Engineering Department. This is a project to replace water line on Main Street on the east side from Center Street down to Monterey Drive. The main reason for this project is UDOT's going to be coming in and resurfacing Main Street this year, and we've had a lot of problems with that water line, and so the Water Division felt like that was a high priority to get that line replaced. Unfortunately, the bids came in over budget. Interstate Rock was the low bid. Including all the ad alternates, they were at $787,000, and then with it, if we take out the alternates, $781,000. The budget was $700,000, and with everything, we're about $130,000 over budget. The main reason for the overage was when we got into the design, it was the Water Division felt like we really needed to replace all the water lines in the intersection at Center Street and also down at Monterey Drive. And just with all the utilities in that intersection and everything needed to be done, it added quite a bit of cost to the project. Rob Mitchell can maybe speak more to that, but that's where we're at as far as the funding on the project.
So if I understand, Jonathan, the ad alternate, the conduit there for the 2-inch conduit, I think it was for the wires and things, it looks like it's somewhere in the neighborhood of between $6,000 and $9,000, depending on the company. Is that large enough to take care of any of our future needs? Because everything I turn around, we end up having conduit and it's not big enough, and we can't get any more wires in it, and it's too small. And will that serve us for a long period of time?
That's the standard we've been using. Kit might be able to speak a little bit more to that, but that's the size of conduit we've been putting in, and we haven't had any issues with it.
Okay.
We could maybe look at upsizing it.
It's sufficient for our LED lighting that we have out there. Those wire sizes have been reduced significantly from what before LED lights come in. And
Is that about the only thing we put in this conduit? And is that kind of for the street lighting?
we also put in a spare conduit in case somebody wants to dig up the street. We'll go ahead and make an agreement with them that they can use our spare conduit, and then they'd have to compensate us for that use.
Okay. I guess my other question would be is, I understand that the UDOT project is going to be from 200 South to Monterey Drive, and we're speaking about Center Street. So is this part of that, and it will be dug up differently?
No, I think they're going from Center Street to Monterey.
Oh, they are going
Drive.
from Center Street.
Yeah, you might be confusing that with the street light project. The street light project.
Oh, there's
was
just too many
going
Main Street projects to keep them all.
Yeah.
200 South to Monterey was the
Got
street
it.
light project.
Thank you. That clarifies that for me.
This
Thank
and
you.
the big UDOT project. will
Yeah,
go together.
okay.
Okay.
So does the over budget just come from the capital fund, or?
Yeah, so this will come from the water fund, and just to refresh council, so when this project came through, we were of course estimating as a staff. We basically recommended that any utilities that we can improve along with the resurfacing of the road, we're gonna do that. So this may not be the only portion that's not gonna fall within budget, but these utilities are funded within the enterprise fund, so they're able to cover water, sewer lines, et cetera, storm drain. So.
Well, this certainly is the time to do it when we have everything else dug up.
And then I'll bring a budget revision in June. We'll include this. March.
Yes, it'll be before then.
Okay, March. And we'll
you better get busy.
take care of this.
Okay, so you good with this going on the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, review bids for 4500 West Sewer Project.
Mayor, City Council, Trevor McDonald with City Engineering. Good to be with you tonight. We recently bid out the 4500 West Sewer Project, and we had 6 bids. Smith Construction was the low bid. I think we can have a bid summary up here in a minute. His bid came in with, we had a number of alternative options in there, and the options that we selected that we feel would best serve this project are the ones we're proposing tonight, and that comes in within budget. We'll get the numbers up here in a minute, but our budget was $2.2 million to $2,201,000, and Smith Construction's bid with the alternative items we want to go with is $2,069,082.
And that adjustment is based on that discussion with the county on the chip and seal over that one part of the road moving to asphalt. Is that the difference?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of the alternate items. We have some trench options in there that looking at how we can lay the pipe and what would suit this project best. We've got a larger diameter sewer pipe. It's 21 inches and then going to 24 inches in diameter. A major concern was in our standard, we have flowable fill as a pipe embedment material. And the major concern was trying to keep that pipe from floating in the flowable fill. And on this project, we've got really restrictive grades of let's see, is it 0.09%? So just under 0.1%. So a floating pipe is a big issue. So the alternatives that we chose with in this project would be pea gravel or a drier material that would alleviate that floating problem.
Any thoughts, Phil? Any thoughts? Insight?
If you're talking, you have to come to the microphone and say your name.
Can I say anything?
No.
Okay. We've done
You still
about
have to
11.
say your name.
Oh, Phil Schmidt Construction.
Thanks, Phil.
We have done all the sewer main trunk line on this line, probably almost about 11 miles. And so we're very familiar with what we're doing and the depths. This one has one spot that'll be 26 feet deep.
Wow.
And a fair section is going to be 20, but we've had 20 before and we just trench box for it and put track hose that are big enough to take care of it.
You don't have to step down. You can just do it. in
Can't
one.
step down really at the one part's in the road. So if you'd like to issue another $200,000 change order, we can step down and you can pave the whole road. So,
how kind of you.
well, it's not really a feasible thing because the line goes right down the middle of 3900. So if you step down, you're going to take the whole road out.
What's the soils like out there?
Sandy silt.
All the way down?
Well, we're just hoping there's no water in the bottom. So if you go from where we cross 5600, if you go west about it's where that great big Rocky Mountain Power pole is, the big silver one. That is really bad ground there, and there's a lot of water right there. So we're hoping we're okay. They've dug down on there is a conduit or a steel casing that already crosses 56. We're going to be tying onto that. And what we're going to do on that one is we're actually going to bore from Lamrow's place. We're going to run a steel casing through the existing casing. So our line is good, our grade is good, and it's a 30-inch casing. Then we'll go another 110 feet. And so then when they run the sewer line, it will actually all be 30-inch spacers. So there's not a change in the difference. And we don't have to dig a bore pit. So we're not digging up the 2 gas lines. We're not digging out the cattle guard. And we're not really digging in the railroad right away. They still have to be there when we bore under, but it shouldn't be very bad.
What kind of pipe?
Which pipe?
What kind of pipe?
Well, we're using 24-inch PVC and we're using 21-inch. Yep. Grade's flat, but we've done 11 miles of it, so we know how to do it.
Okay. Are there any additional
Can't say anything about the other.
comments, questions related
Just
to?
always appreciate Phil's great work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
work.
To this
Move it on.
one and
Mhm.
awarding it. And then the budget revision will,
There it is.
yes, budget revision will come.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Okay. So item number 10 is public hearing to consider granting a public utility easement to Rocky Mountain Power to run power line across city property to the animal shelter.
So the animal shelter's under construction and things are going well, and Rocky Mountain Power needs to run power there so we can heat it and light it. So anytime we're gonna grant an easement across city property, we just have to come through and get permission from the council.
And the exact location of that's going to be from this power pole located right here, going over to the southeast corner of the new building, which will be about right there. So go in that area.
Is this going to be brought in underground?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Comments, questions? Okay, so we'll open public hearing. Anyone would like to speak? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. And you good with that going on consent?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Item number 11, public hearing to consider amending City Ordinance 2694 to require home occupation applicants to certify that their home occupation will not be in violation of any applicable CC&Rs.
Okay, I'm going to start on this. Throughout the last about year and a half, I've been, as we've been working with our ordinances that address different changes in neighborhoods that have CC&Rs that restrict some of those uses. I've had staff look at adding some verbiage to those. Actually, one was older than that, the chicken ordinance. That was quite a while ago. And basically what I was looking for, and I'm gonna change this a little bit. The paragraph that's in our packet for the council members, I only want to address the first sentence, strike the rest, because that's not what my intent was. And I'll explain that. The intent is just to make, it's almost a buyer beware thing. We did this just recently with the short-term rental ordinance. We passed that ordinance with a line in there saying that it's okay to have this ordinance that we're putting in place unless it violates CC&Rs for that area, and we leave that to the individual applying for the various license. I want to do the same thing with this one. I think it works both ways. Having sat on the Board of Adjustments for 6 years prior to my council term is one thing that really triggered me on this one, because the majority of our great public that serves on there usually doesn't really know what areas of town have CC&Rs, and they're approving different things that are in violation. And then our citizens will come back and say, how come I can't do this? The city says it's okay. Well, it's not because you signed on when you bought this property that it's not. And so it kind of creates a conflict, and to save them, having, and I don't want the Board of Adjustments to even deal with it. And that's the purpose of this. What I'm putting in there is just this one paragraph sentence we put in there, unless the CCNRs prohibit it. It's verbiage that way, like I mentioned in the chicken ordinance. It's verbiage that way in the short-term rentals. There's a checkoff box on the application for short-term rentals. We probably want to put a checkoff box on the application for home occupation permits. So the person is filling out the application and it just is at their attention right there. So I want to simplify the verbiage in there. I do not want the last, and Tyler can explain this a little better from the legal standpoint, why we don't.
Yeah. So with that change, I'm more comfortable with that. Essentially, I've already added it to the application for your review for next week. It would be just like the short-term rental license, where it just says I certify that my home occupation isn't in violation of any CCNRs, any relevant CCNRs. Why I think it's better that way is because if we're having the Board of Adjustments deny or revoke a license, that's putting them in the position of having to read the CCNRs and having to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's just best left in the court system than before a board.
So the application becomes an affidavit by the owner saying, hey, we're not in violation of CCNRs.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then if it blows up in someone's face, it's a judge that will make that judgment, not or our Board of Adjustments or anyone else for that matter.
Yeah, correct.
It serves as good education. And this month, as we've had people come in and renew their licenses for long-term rentals, short-term rentals, those certifications do a good job of educating them what the city ordinances are.
I think that's a good adjustment.
Very good adjustment. Yep.
Okay, are there any other comments, questions from council? Okay, we'll open the public hearing on this item. And seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and move this onto our action agenda. All right, item number 12, review bids for the Coal Creek Main Street Diversion Primary Sand Separator Project.
Okay, we'll open bids on the sand separator, and where this is down at the Main Street Diversion. If you go,
Can you turn the screen back on?
Oh,
thanks.
so the Main Street Diversion is right in this location. That's the existing Main Street Diversion.
Okay.
And ever since that was put in, I think I can't remember when it was put in, 2008 to 10, something like that. It really hasn't worked the way it was intended to work. The irrigation companies downstream of that diversion are still seeing a lot of sand and silt go down through the ditches and cause them problem with their irrigation system. And so we've been working with Sam Bauer, who's pretty much the ditch master of all the ditches downstream of this sand separator, and worked with him on a design to modify this sand separator, basically making it a longer structure, so it would go from here on up to here, and to give that water, slow down that water enough that it's going to drop the sand out, and then midway there will be a place where the sand will be dumped back into the Coal Creek. And
So we're adding on to the existing structure then, or remodeling, whatever you want to say?
Remodeling. Yeah. So we're not tearing anything out except the east wall of the existing structure, and then we'll attach right on to that wall.
And we're doing this then for the irrigation companies that are downstream, correct?
That is correct.
Are they participating in the
Say,
cost
yeah,
at
are we
all?
paying for this all by ourselves?
So yeah, we're paying for it. And from the irrigation company's perspective, they didn't want to redesign Coal Creek in the first place. All the redesign and all those structures and dropping Coal Creek to get under Main Street and all that was all the city project, and it all got us out of the floodplain. Which the really cool thing is we got the low marks today. So we're out of the floodplain.
Got it today?
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's big news. Come on.
A long time
20
coming.
years. But the whole reason for doing the modifications was Cedar City, not the irrigation company. So from their perspective, they've always viewed this as a city project and the city's obligation to get it right.
So when it was free flowing, it wasn't taking the sand out to their
It was taking, it was
equipment?
taking a certain amount of sand out, but it's
Not as much as they're seeing today. Paul could tell you, but he's shy. So
When they did that, there was a slush.
Will you come up to the microphone?
got to say your name too.
And we say your name for the record.
Paul Nelson. Before they did that on the old diversion, the water just went over and it went over a little sluice gate, and the heavies in the water would fall into that sluice gate and it just automatically kicked out into the creek. It took care of all of the gravel and all of the sand that was just going along the bottom of the water. And the idea was when the city needed to lower that to get it under the bridge and put their walking path and all that stuff in, we told them it needed to be as good or better than what we had, and it hasn't even come close to what it's done. It does take the gravel out and stuff, but it does not take the sand and stuff out like it was supposed to when it was designed, how it was designed. So we're just trying to get it right.
And do we have the assurance or the sense that this change will solve the problem?
well, I'm not sure anything's 100% sure, but we definitely involved the irrigation companies a lot closer this time to basically give them what they felt would work.
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
So the low bidder on this project, I've just got the complete bid tab here, but the low bidder on this project was Mumford General Contracting for the low bid of $136,793.50. The budget on the project was, I believe, $250,000. So they're significantly.
Are they a local company?
Yes, they are local here, and they were quite a lot less expensive than most of the other bidders. There was one bidder really not familiar with that was $170,000. So but we're recommending that Mumford be awarded the contract.
How long will this contract take, do you think, once it's awarded?
It's got to be done by the 15th of March.
Holy smokes.
That's when the irrigators. put the
Holy
water back in
smokes.
the-
Let's make sure there's no big storms.
That was very clear to when we bid the project, all the bidders.
Okay.
All right.
Then we should definitely move this one forward.
And do we have experience with Mumford building? I'm just not familiar with
Not
them.
really. There's the Lyman Mumford's nephews.
Okay.
Do that. Are the ones that bid it.
Okay.
We good with this going on the consent?
I know Lyman. I
Yeah.
don't know his sons.
Okay. Item number 13, consider proposals to update the Cedar City impact fees.
Last general update we did of our impact fees was 2011. We've been using that study for 8 or so years. We've had a need to include large fire trucks and to take a look at including the effluent disposal process and reuse process. So we put out an RFP for qualified firms to give us a proposal. We published it on social media, newspapers, sent out written invitations to firms we knew did this type of work and thought might be interested. We received 2 bids or 2 proposals. One was from Zions Public Finance. The other one was from Lewis, Young, Robinson, and Birmingham. The staff went through and evaluated the 2 proposals. We scored them, added up the scores. LYRB, Lewis Young had the most points accumulated. They've done the study before for the city. We worked with them back in 2005 or so when they did an update for us.
Was that around 40 some odd thousand back then?
Yeah, their bid was $48,000, and Zions Public Finance was in the 80s to do the same project.
I mean, before when we did the last impact fee study,
The last one we did was through Wickstrom.
That was about 2011, wasn't it?
That was 2011, and that was that. I think that one cost us in the ballpark of 30,000.
30.
Yeah.
And they just didn't bid on it, I guess, obviously. Or
I read where the principal in Wickstrom Engineering was a young lady with the last name of Wickstrom, and she passed away. So I don't know the status of that company. We sent them an invitation, but they did not submit a proposal.
So I also read in the packet about the 3 entities that are contributing the money towards the 30,000, and then we have to find the difference. I was curious, what are those 3 entities that are contributing the funds?
All the money to pay for the study comes out of impact fees.
Right.
So I'm not sure what you're referring to by the 3 entities.
Oh, I'd have to go back and look to the packet, but there's something. Okay. And we can legally use these funds for this purpose.
Impact fees can be used to do the study, yes.
Yeah, so that puts us over budget, and we'll have to propose this with, the associated impact fees, so it'll be shared. Got police, fire, parks and rec, transportation, sewer, water. So it'll storm drain, it'll allocate back through all those if we approve it to be above the 30,000. So there won't be any general fund money. It'll be the impact fees.
Hasn't the Birmingham firm done something for us fairly recently? And why am I locked on that name? I don't know why. But.
Last time I remember working with Lewis Young was on the impact fee update prior to 2011.
Okay.
Now, that one got a lot of heat, and I don't think all of the blame goes to Lewis Young. A lot of the blame goes to Cedar City because we didn't touch our impact fees for a long period of time. And we had them set at a certain rate, but the economy kept going and costs kept increasing, and we never changed our impact fees. So when we got around to reevaluating them, there was a huge gap and Cedar City made the choice to catch that whole gap up at once. So we caught a lot of heat for that. I don't know if it was the consultant's work or our choices to catch all that up at once. But my experience with them was fairly positive. Kit, do you remember working with them? Pretty good.
Well, and I apologize. I reread the notes, and the money is in the budget is split equally between all of the Department of Impact. So I just misread. Excuse me.
Okay. So
we need to do it. We need to move it on. So
So we're good with going.
I'm fine with
The-
it being on consent.
Okay.
I struggle with some of these, I don't know. What do they give us other than, I mean, is it just between the State Home Builders Association, HBA, and our staff, is there any way we could do our own? Is there any possible way?
So part of the process we went through to bid this out was I contacted the home builders locally and at the state level and asked them if they had consultants they worked with that they thought were on the ball and did a good job. I never got a response back. I don't know how much support we would get from the state home builders on doing this. The problem with having our own staff do it, we have very good staff. I think our staff's smart enough to do it and capable, but we continuously push engineering, who plays a big role in this type of a study, on projects because all the subdivision work that's coming through and all the projects that we have budgeted, every single one of them has to go through Kit and his guys to get designed or built. And the workload, I don't know if we would have the time to do this with the rest of the workload.
And Kit's most recent report to us that we had in our boxes this past week, you got 66 plus projects that you're managing at the same time. Yeah.
One stage or another. Yeah.
It's not a knock on Kit and his guys. They can only work
I'm saying
23 hours a day, and
they're doing.
they have to go home
They have
for
a
an hour.
phenomenal workload.
Well, and even with the previous impact fee study, we still have to, they still depend on us to provide costs for different things, the cost for upsizing sewer lines and upsizing roads and water lines and everything associated with, that's in the impact fee. They're still counting on us to get
there'll
them.
still be a lot of city work on this because they have to do a lot of projections and they've got to go to staff to help with those kind of projections. One of the things I want to make sure that I understand Councilman Cousins' concern is that it's more of a monetary one, I think, I guess, because for me, because this is state law, I want to make sure that the city has a place in which to reference to say, we've done these kinds of studies, and for communities of our size or whatever, these are what the fees should be, because this is not going to be a popular subject when it comes time, whatever the study finally does tell us. And I want to make sure that we have the wherewithal and the proper tools to be able to say, we have done due diligence, and this is what it's telling us that we need to be looking at. It gives us some strength.
There's also some benefit to getting a third party set of eyes looking at our operations and not just us all the time.
Sure. Did I
Yeah, no, it's good. I respect that. I just, like Kit said, they're going to end up doing a lot of the legwork anyway.
They will.
And sometimes you bring somebody from the outside that doesn't know our city, and I almost wonder if our staff can do a better job because they know it better. But I see both sides of the debate.
Okay. So are we good with this going on the consent?
Consent.
Okay. Then our next item is closed session for property negotiations.
So I moved that we adjourn out of this meeting and go into closed session.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Can I get a roll call vote starting with Councilwoman Hartley?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
I'm a little bit worried for the people that
Sorry,
stayed for cake.
we can take the cake
Let's
out in the lobby
take
and
the cake
cut the
out
cake.
there, and you guys can have cake.
Conspiracy just to keep it.
We're just going to take it all. You don't get any.
That's fine. Take it
That would
outside.
be really good.
That'd be a good thing,
No,
actually.
take it out
I
there.
have all the tools. I have
Would you bring
napkins
plates
and knives and everything.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I look pretty good for 29, don't you think? Yeah. No, I think city council is like aged me.
You gonna sing to her? We might as
And I
well.
understand that.
Yeah, we got time. We got a break. Hey, Terry, we're going to sing to you real quick. Everybody, we're going to sing to Terry, okay, while we're on break. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Terry. Happy birthday to you. Now make a wish.
And many more.